My name is Mika Poutala, and this is Speedskating Secrets.
I've had kind of lost my passion for speed skating, and like I said, like when I have the passion, I skate really well. So with that missing, it was not a great season, and so I was like, oh, well, I didn't make World Cups. I've always wanted to do Red Bull Crashed Ice, so I went and skated and did Red Bull Crashed Ice, and that was a great mental break for me.
So enjoy and learn. Welcome.
My passion is to find habits and actions that lead to success and better life. And I'm really happy to be here today with a really good friend of mine. He is an Olympian from Sochi 2014 and 5-time World Cup medalist. This guy is a master of DIY renovations and building stuff. He's also a really talented Nickelback cover singer, and maybe we get a sample for that later.
Wow.
Welcome to the show, William Dutton.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm great. Yeah. Thanks for doing this, Mika.
No, that's my pleasure. So, are you gonna give the sample for us or no?
Well, it depends. What do you think everybody wants to hear? Rockstar or?
I'm not that familiar, but I heard that you went to their concert a couple of days ago, so I'm sure that you have some of the songs really clear in your mind.
Oh, okay. Well, if you really want it,
I really do.
You really want it. Oh my goodness, here we I'm through with standing in line. The clubs I'm never getting. It's like the bottom of the ninth, and I'm never gonna win. That's enough of that.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. This is exactly what I was looking for.
Oh, good, yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so I'm trying to find out what are the key points in your life that made you so good, and what habits do you have that you think are the most important for top athletes? So I'm just trying to dig a little bit deeper, like what are your thoughts? What did you do to become this good an athlete? So are you ready?
Yeah, sure.
We just started, okay.
How far back are we going?
Let's see. You can decide. So first I would like to know, like, how did you become a speed skater? And what has been the most important moments before skating on any World Cups? So as you were junior, what was the biggest moments?
Well, I mean, luckily I had a dad that dragged me around. Not dragged me. He took us to all of the Canadian championships and North American championships and stuff like that. And those were master competitions that were super fun and really competitive. And that was, I mean, where you got to see who was the best in the country and stuff like that. So it was a really good measure of your talent at that point. Sometimes I would win medals, sometimes I wouldn't, but I was always battling those Quebec guys. Oh, man, just the worst. And then I moved out here. I didn't really have a plan when I moved to Calgary. I was okay at long track speed skating. I had just won a medal at the Canada Winter Games. That's what it was. Yeah. So I won a silver medal, I think, or a bronze. I don't really recall. But anyways, that wasn't that important to me. I liked speed skating. I thought Calgary was a cool place, so I moved here, started training. I didn't even know what the national team was. I didn't know how you get on the national team. And then I trained for a year, and that went okay. And then my coach said, I think you can make the Junior Worlds team next year, Will. And I was like, oh, what's that? And then he told me, and that was the goal for the year. And that was the first season that I ever really took speed skating serious. I had planned originally to live that summer at my parents' house, just kind of working and stuff like that, and I wouldn't be training really. I mean, but then when I thought about it a bit more, I was like, oh, Junior Worlds is really cool. And then I was like, I got to go back. I got to train. People are training harder than me right now. I can't allow that. And so I came back to Calgary, started training, and I think that was probably one of the kind of game changers for me. I was recognized that I really wanted to speed skate. I came back, trained super hard, and that's been something that kind of situation, that's not the only time that happened. It's in 2015, the same thing happened, right? I was like, oh, I really miss speed skating. I want to go speed skate. People are training hard on me. They're going to beat me. I got to go back and start training, right? And then I think just that kind of really kind of primal passion for sport and stuff like that was really what made me better, because I didn't care about results. It's just like, I like speed skating. I want to go faster. And that the years that I have that in my mind, those are the best years. So I just try and harness that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how old were you when you moved to Calgary, and was it like a really hard thing for you, or was like just like you just want to do it and you just did it?
Yeah, no, I was 17. I just graduated high school, and my parents, I think it was like a month after I graduated high school, they sold their house and they're like, we're moving to Vancouver Island. You're going to Calgary, right? Okay, we'll see you later. So I just didn't really have a choice. I was like, I guess I'm moving to Calgary now.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of like thinking like maybe your parents were really like confused and like worrying about you, but it wasn't skating.
No, they were just like, yeah, we're going over here. I mean, you can come to Vancouver Island if you want, but they were pretty sure I wanted to go to Calgary. I had some friends here and stuff like that. So yeah, they just kind of put me in my car, and Dad gave me $100 for gas, and away I went.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you already said that you had this same kind of thing going on in 2015.
Yeah.
So what did you change when you came back to speed skating, and like what was the catalyst for your success? Because you skated amazing season after like taking a break and coming back to the sport.
Yeah, I think I just had like first I said a mental break, because it was a bit of a tough year before that, with my like uncle passing away while I was on the road and stuff like that, and I got an injury that I didn't make the Winter World Cups and stuff like that, so I had kind of lost my passion for speed skating, and like I said, like when I have the passion, I skate really well. So with that missing, it was not a great season, and so I was like, oh, well, I didn't make World Cups. I've always wanted to do Red Bull Crashed Ice. So I went and skated and did Red Bull Crashed Ice, and that was a great mental break for me, just because it was like something new and something exciting. And then once that was over, that season was over, I guess that was March of 2016. Would it be? Yeah,
2015.
Yeah, okay, March 2015.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just went back to my parents' house and whatever, spent a little bit of time there. Then I started working. That was okay. I mean, I'd never really worked for anybody before, right? I'm just speed skating. And, then I went into the West Coast Trail with my family, and we were kind of thinking like, oh, maybe Will's going to go back to speed skating. And then I had this thought resonating in my mind, something that Jeremy Witherspoon said, which sounds super corny, but we were at his wedding bartending for him. And he's like, oh, you might think you're busy when you're speed skating, but trust me, you're not. And I was just kind of like, that really hit me, because I was like, oh, he's right. Like, I go to work and I come home and it's like 6:30 and make dinner, and by the time I eat, it's 8 o'clock and I go to bed. I was like, I don't have time for things that I enjoy. So I was kind of thinking like, I really liked speed skating and I really enjoyed it, and I can continue doing it. There's no reason I can't. My body's fine. Like mentally, I'm fine. So then I was like, I should go back. And I told my parents, and like, well, if you want to go back, yeah, sure, go do that then. I don't like, they're really supportive and stuff. So, like I just like that passion kind of built up again, grew in my body, and just kind of like I could feel it. I really wanted to speed skate again. So when I came back, I was ready to skate. Like it wasn't like, oh, this is a chore. It was like I came every day. I wanted to skate. I didn't really care about what was going on around me so much. I was just like, this is what I came to do. This is my goal. I'm here to skate. And I didn't want to be like just skating and wasting my time by just kind of going through the motions. I was like, okay, if you're here, there's a reason you're here. Don't mess around.
Yeah. When we think about passion, sometimes it seems that it's really hard to kind of make yourself to be passionate about. But is there any ways that if you're not passionate about what you're doing, what could you do that you would get that passion that you're talking about that is so important to be successful?
Honestly, I think it's just it's really hard. You can't imitate it, right? Like, and that's something that for my career, I've never been able to fake that. And anytime like a sports psychologist or something is like, oh, how can we make you skate better, Will? And I say like it has to feel like a real experience. Has to feel real. So the only way you can make that, I think, if you're in a bad spot, would be to just you have to have like a conversation. I've had to have a conversation with myself before, and just like, you got to get real with yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I type it out, and so I can like read it, and it's just, it sounds crazy. I'm talking to myself, and I'm asking myself questions and challenging myself.
That makes sense in my mind.
And so it's, if you can really have a conversation like that where you're really honest with yourself, and you like can kind of be accountable for all the things that you maybe haven't been doing right or stuff like that, then I think you can get a sense of where you're going wrong. And I think sometimes that's reignited the passion for me, because if I'm thinking like, oh, you get in that rut where you're just like, I'm not good this year, I'm not a good skater right now or something, right?
Yeah.
But if you can have that conversation with yourself and be really open and like honest with yourself, then it's just like, I have recognized that it wasn't my skating, it was just things that I was doing in my attitude. Like if I'm bringing a bad attitude, then I'm gonna be a bad speed skater. So that positive emotion and stuff is really important for the passion.
Yeah, that's good. You told me that you went to competing in crashed ice. Is there anything that you learned doing that you are now like using as a speed skater?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to use it anyways. I was practiced so many starts with the guys there. Like we were just always, if you weren't racing, you know, we'd spend 2 weeks in Finland and we'd just go skate, practice our starts. So I do a down start, and it's really important. I know you've know this as well. If you're just not pushing off of your left or your forward foot right away, then it's going to be a slow, delayed start. So that was something I did in crashed ice, was just really focusing on pushing off of the forward foot right away. And that was good for me. I don't know. Everybody on the crashed ice circuit thought I had a pretty quick start. And then I came back to speed skating that year, and I had a really quick start. So I think maybe there's something to that. Like I'm trying to incorporate it.
Yeah, for sure. Like 2015, 16, you were definitely one of the fastest starter. Yeah. I just watched your 500 meter from Calgary there, and that was like 9.50. Yeah. And you also did 9.4. So that's pretty impressive, and I'm sure that helped you a lot to be there in the crash science and training that.
So I guess I just got to go do some hockey skating now.
Might be a good idea. I don't know.
I'll put that in my Olympic prep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need my hockey skates.
So in your career, you've had a couple of different coaches.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most important things that you learned from your coaches?
But yeah, Crispin Parkinson was my first coach at the Oval in 2007. He was my coach from 2007 to probably, I think it was about August of 2010. So, yeah, I mean, he was kids want to specialize, right? You're like, oh, I'm good at 500 and stuff like that. Like, and I think it probably easily recognizable that I was going to be better at the sprints at that time. But Crispin made me do all of my laps. I did 25 laps in a row at one point, which seems insane to me now. But yeah, I mean, he was just kind of really hammered home the importance of doing all the training. And you know, like he's like one of his favorite things to say is, "Oh, if just because you have a cold doesn't mean you can't skate." So,
wow.
So yeah, I mean, like he's the kind of guy that just wants you to do the work.
But I think that's a really important thing, because nowadays I've seen like a lot of juniors who want to be sprinters, and they only train about sprinting.
Yeah.
They don't build a base, what you and I have already, because we used to train a lot of longer distances too.
Yeah.
So I think like I'm not sure if that's actually a good idea that nowadays world like junior world sprints, there's also like distance medals.
Yeah.
Because when I skated and when you skated the junior world championships, there was only like combinations. So I think when you're young, you really need to have a lot of skating volume, so you can train really hard when you get older.
Yeah.
So and that you learned at that time, right?
Yeah, for sure, I agree with that. Like, I was a long distance runner as a kid. Like, I don't know, I didn't make the track and field team on the 100-meter team, right? Like I was running 5Ks and 1500s and stuff like that. So I was, for sure, my dad was like, how did you become a sprinter? Like what, like, what did you go from being a 5K kid to one of the fastest openers in the world? Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of a funny thing to think about. So I think, yeah, you gotta train all the time. You gotta do all that stuff. Aerobic base, so important.
Yeah, I think people like are scared that if they train longer distances, they'll get slower. But that's not the case. Like, of course, if you only train longer distances, you might not be fast on that year or that day, but it will come back if you start to train sprints, right?
Yeah, I'd say. Like, I mean, at the same point, it's kind of hard for me to say because, well, okay, how can I put this? I had the base, then I took that time off. I had also just been training with Pete Mueller, right? So that was a crazy experience. And then so when I came back in 2015, I'd taken like 3 to 4 months off of just like doing nothing, really. And then came back and I was super quick on ice. So yeah, I mean, I think it's important to have that base, but rest is also just important.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, Mike Crow's second coach, I mean, he's the start guy. So I mean, I can credit him with teaching me a lot about start technique and stuff like that, right? Like I wouldn't have been as quick potentially if I hadn't had him teaching me that stuff. And that was great. Then we had Pete Mueller, that guy, he's a wild man. Yeah, no, that was for sure one of my favorite years of speed skating, was with the CBA team, with all those guys, Ty, Demi, Brombo. Like, Pete was just kind of similar to Crispin, but like, he babied me because I was the sprinter in the group. So I mean, I didn't have to do all the volume training, but like, he was basically just like, you're doing this, you can do this, like just, you know, make it happen. And that was it's a fun way to be coached. Is like, I honestly like never questioned that he believed in me fully. Like that was awesome. So I think that helps you believe in yourself more. Yeah. So it was a really fun year just because I think I'd come from kind of feeling like, I don't know, like maybe the coaching staff or something didn't believe in me that much at the time, like in Canada. And then I went to Norway and this guy's like, I didn't even know him really, like first got there and he's just like super nice. And he's like, oh yeah, Willie, all right, that's what we're going to do. Yeah, we're going to go out there. This year you're going to be skating 108s and 34 4s. And I was like, oh, what? I don't know about that, Pete. Like, I've never been that close to 108 before. He's like, oh yeah. And then sure enough, first competition, like 2 PBs, I almost took a second off in my 1,000. So yeah, it's great having someone that just believes in you. And then I mean, that team fell apart, so that was sad. But that's kind of what led to the new coach, our coach, Kev, right? Like, I mean, Kev had been talking to me about like some teams. Like he kind of thought maybe he might want to start a team, like an international team. And he was contacting me, and that was right before I retired, kind of. I just I wasn't feeling. I mean, like I liked the idea of being coached by Kev, and he was kind of really similar to Pete in that he's like, oh, Will, like, you know, I really think that, you know, there's something we can do here. Like, I think I can make you a good skater. And I was like, it's cool to hear that from somebody that you know, respect. Like, he's an Olympic medalist from Canada. Like, that's a guy that I'll look up to, right? As a speed skater. And it's kind of funny though, because the first time I met him, I was like 13 or something like that. And I told him, oh no, he was going to coach us in the Top Blade camp in Calgary. And he introduced himself. I'm Kevin Crockett, you know, Olympic medalist in the 500 Nagano. And I was like, no, you aren't. So yeah, we got off to a great start there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he said like, because you don't see that many kids in speed skating, right? Like, it's not a huge community. So he remembered me from that. So when I got to the oval, he's like, that's that kid.
Oh, now I understand your relationship.
Yeah.
That's a little different.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a good time. But anyways, same thing with Kev. Yeah, he just believed in me right off the start, and I just whatever. I mean, and he's always like, it's similar to when I have those conversations with myself, that it's like a really open and honest conversation, right? Like Kev just says it the way it is, like that wasn't that good of a race. Even though I was like 34.4, he's like, oh, that was not good. Like, yeah, you made a lot of mistakes there. We got to clean this up. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I was pretty happy with myself. Just won my first World Cup medal and 34.4. And Kev's like, no, that wasn't good. And then he's like, you should have been 34.2 or 34.1 today. And I was like, oh, okay. And then the next day or whatever, the Sunday, 34.2. He was right. I just had to clean some stuff up. So I mean, when you got to value that opinion when it's like seems so true.
Yeah.
Like you don't maybe recognize that on your own, right? So to me that's like you got to have a good coach, a guy that like has a really good perception of what's going on. And yeah, I mean, because anybody can write a program, but it takes like that kind of like that really sharp technical eye and that like ability to kind of analyze what's going on, right? So yeah, I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay, let's dive into the morning rituals and habits. So what do you do when you wake up and what do you eat for breakfast?
Okay, well, in the morning, I love the morning. I mean, I love breakfast, of course, one of my favorite meals. When I wake up, though, it's we do some top secret monitoring. I can't go into details, I don't want to.
That's okay.
I can't. But also do like a little bit of meditation while I'm doing that monitoring. Yeah. So I like that meditation. It's helping me right now, like just to kind of not think too much when I go to the oval. Like, I mean, I do some stuff at night and I try and carry that into the morning. And then if I just have that meditation, 10 minutes, then I'm good to go. I don't have to think too much. I'm calm. I'm like kind of more present in the day. So that's great.
Yeah,
and then I go downstairs, make a delicious breakfast. I mean, I got a couple staples. I got some, some steel cut oats with some rolled oats, and then some nuts in there. And then I do some dry cottage cheese on top of that, a little cinnamon, maple syrup, and a smoothie. I mean, you got to have the smoothie.
Yeah, of course.
You got what we got in the smoothie. We got banana, some berries, some 0% fat Greek yogurt. I know you like that 0% fat. So. And then milk. So I'm hitting the dairy products pretty hard in the morning with that one, but that's fine. I like it. It's also that's like 1,000 calorie breakfast. Mm-hmm. Or French toast, another favorite. Pancakes. I mean, I tweak the pancake recipe every year. I started out as my grandma's recipe on my mom's side, and now I've been tweaking it. Now I'm at the point where it's I don't even use normal flour anymore. It's just ground oats, which is a trick I learned from you.
Good.
Yeah. So I like to change it up, but I'm pretty specific about my breakfasts usually. Like I got to sit in the same spot, arrange everything. I don't know. It's a good thing for the morning,
Yeah.
Gotta have that ritual.
That's good. So I want to know a little bit more about your diet because every time we're in the locker room and you take your shirt off, I'm so jealous about your lean body.
No.
Like, how did that happen? What did you do? So what's your diet?
My diet, I just I don't eat anything I don't buy junk food. There's no junk food in my house. I up the carb intake and the protein, kind of reduce the fats a bit, but I still try and get I just don't use a lot of added fats. So I'll do if there's fat, there's fat in meat that you're eating, meat protein. There's fat in nuts and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to get natural fats. I will use a tablespoon of olive oil for cooking or whatever like that. But that's probably the biggest thing is just no junk food. I don't eat any cookies anymore, which is, I love cookies and Lizzie always makes me cookies. I just cleaned it up, really, and it's not complicated. I don't think.
Are you measuring what you eat? Are you measuring macronutrients? Or?
Yeah, well, when I started, I was, but that was just kind of to start the habits, right? I didn't really know how much food I needed to be eating and stuff like that. I didn't know what. You get a caloric reading on how much you're eating, right? And so I was just like, to me, I didn't know how much that was, right? Like I didn't know what a cup of oatmeal was. I didn't know what that looked like in my bowl. So I would say I was probably overeating before. And so I would say I eat less but more frequently. I never miss my afternoon snack, which is usually something that's like pretty high in protein and some carbs. And then that way I'm not as hungry at dinner, so I won't overeat at dinner, right?
So did I understand correctly that you started to measure, but when you kind of knew what size is the what, you stopped doing it, but you still kind of measure with your eyes?
Yeah, I know. I measure. Yeah, I mean, like it's not as accurate, but to me, it's been working. I got down to the weight I wanted to, and now I've been maintaining at that weight.
Yeah. I think that's really good because like most of us doesn't know how much something weighs, how much there is protein, how much carbs. So like if you do that 1 week, for example, you get a pretty good like idea what's in there.
Yeah. So that was what I started with. Like I was measuring my rice. I was measuring like everything, especially the carbs, because I didn't want to overdo it with the carbs. I just wanted to get the right amount. Because in previous years I had like, I mean, this sounds dumb for an athlete not to know what they were doing, but like I reduced my carb intake, which I think kind of led to some issues in the summer with my training last year. So I was like, okay, I want the right amount, discuss it with our nutritionist, and she's like, okay, this is likely about how much you're going to need. Like, so these
do you want
measurements.
to say those like amounts? Like, for example,
well, it'd be like
what kind of calories are you like eating a day, and like what's the percentage of proteins, carbs, and fats?
Oh, okay.
Do you have like, is it that clear to you?
Yeah, no, it is for sure. I mean, it was between 4 and 3,500 or 3,500 calories, like before 4,000, 3,500. And then like, I'd say it was about 35% protein, and then I think it was at about whatever 40s, I don't know, whatever. It was like say like 47 or something like that, and then the remainder was fat, right? So I took a nutrition course too. That really helped.
Yeah, that's good.
Because for school, I mean, that kind of changed my view on it. I was like, holy crap, maybe I'm like eating too much meat and stuff like that, right? Like, didn't necessarily need to be. I've almost cut, like, not intentionally, but I just don't really eat red meat a whole lot anymore. I'm getting my iron from other sources, and so I mean, maybe that's got something to do with the loss of
for sure,
fat and stuff like that, right? But just more control of what I was eating, and really, honestly, I haven't had a chocolate bar in a long time.
Okay.
No alcohol either. Don't forget, no alcohol. That adds up.
Yeah.
So I mean, clean diet.
Yeah. So we all know that the food is really big thing for recovery, but what kind of different methods are you using for recovery?
Compared to other people, or just like what are my methods?
No, what are you doing? Like, of course, you need to eat after practice really well, and that's one part of the recovery. But for example, you're sleeping, and do you like use foam roller or something different things?
Yeah, I mean, like, for me, if I have like a tight muscle or whatever, I have these little, they're floor hockey balls, and they're not too hard. They're squishy, but they're like they're a hard rubber ball that's squishy.
Yep.
So for me, that's like, I have very delicate muscles. I'm a sprinter. They're always tight. So if I get in there with something really hard, like a lacrosse ball, I find that I end up bruising myself or something like that. So that's why I went to these like softer balls. And
that's a good tip.
Yeah, I just found that I could get the release. Like even sometimes I'll feel the muscle release, like as if you were getting a massage or something from a professional.
Yeah.
But I'm not sore after, right? I think it just gets that release. It gets just deep enough that it doesn't hurt me. So that's usually, I'm just running through my glutes. I will do it by hand. I'll take that rubber ball and just do the quads, and do the lateral quads and stuff like that. Another one I do, which surprises people, I'll do like some self-Graston sometimes, or I'll do like the silicone cups. And that's just for like I do the silicone cups for like a negative pressure treatment, so that I'm like getting some fascial release as well. I'm all about trying to break up that adhesion, because that's something that's been a problem for me in my skating. Is I have a couple spots, like where I have like a cut, like from 2013, 2014 season. I cut myself in Calgary when I fell, and I've got this scar across my my VMO on my right leg. So I mean it's about a 3.5 inch scar. So that's like, you can actually see where there's adhesion there, and it's like sticking to the muscle underneath. And so I mean, like trying to break that up is always a goal, and just making sure that there's no scar tissue built up, like so that the muscle's able to glide underneath the skin. Yeah, so those are some of the things I do. I also do like a cold bath when when it's race season, like the night before a race, I'll do a cold bath. I don't know why. It makes me feel good in the morning. I like it. Maybe it's a placebo, maybe it's not, but I mean that's part of my race prep strategy.
So is it only cold bath, or like cold and hot?
No, I only do the cold.
Okay.
Yeah. Jamie Gregg has me convinced. I don't know. He said this to me once, that the contrast bath is too hard on your neurological system. So I just try and avoid that when I can.
Okay.
So it's easy to get in a cold bath and then be like, oh, I'm so cold, I want to get in the shower and like heat myself up. But I try not to do that, because then you're like kind of negating the effect of it, because you're heating your body up from an outside source instead of letting your body heat up your legs and clearing that whatever might be in there through through blood movement. So yeah, what else do I do? Yeah.
So what about your sleeping? How much do you sleep in a night, and what do you do, for example, an hour before sleep?
Well, if I don't get 10 hours of sleep, I usually feel pretty crappy in the morning. So
that's a lot.
I know, yeah. 8's okay, 10's better. 8's bottom. I'll feel rusty when I wake up if I only get 8. And then before bed, that's when I do all my self-therapy. I do that stuff. I do some stretching. I'll usually roll. I'll roll a specific muscle group, then I'll stretch it, then I'll move on to the next one, roll, stretch. That's kind of how I move through that. If it's race night, then I'll do a race prep plan that night. Maybe do a little bit of visualization, or even for like an important practice, I'll do some visualization before I go to bed. And usually I'm watching some animal things on Netflix. They got the documentaries there. There's some documentary about lions. I was really into that. I thought I wanted to be a lion. They're powerful. They lay around a lot. They're always stretching. They're ready to go. So that's I try and really embody that sometimes when I race.
Nice. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up, and my last question is like, what is your thinking now when this is like Olympic season? How do you see the season, and is it gonna be a little bit different than any other season, or just the same thing?
No, I think it's gonna be. I mean, every season brings its own challenge, but I think like the biggest challenge with the Olympic season is, I'm finding anyways so far, is just being patient. Like I had some back problems early in the season, so just kind of being realistic with myself on where I'm at. I don't want to have like these huge expectations. I do, of course, because I know what I want to be, I know what I want to achieve. So it's like really hard to not look at those goals and stuff like that, and just kind of be in the in the present moment, right? Like I feel really corny saying that, but it's like very challenging sometimes to just be present and like focus on what you need to do today, because the expectation that you're like, oh, I want to do that, that's my goal, that can lead to kind of just like trying to skate for that, if that makes sense. So I'm not actually focusing on the process or my technique or stuff like that. I'm like, I need to go this fast to accomplish this goal, and so I'm just gonna try this hard, and that doesn't work. So yeah, being really patient is important for an Olympic season, because you just have to kind of put all that stuff out of your mind. That's why I don't even know. I was just saying this to my friends the other day. I don't want to know the qualifying criteria. I don't want to know anything. Like, it's not going to help me skate faster if I know that stuff. So, I mean, it might make me worse, but if I just don't know about it at all, I'm not going to be affected by it, which sounds sounds like a avoidance technique, but really to me this is like there's already so much going on. There's a lot of external stressors. Why do you need to like bring more in? So I'm trying to avoid that stuff. I think going to school helps, so that's why I'm in a bunch of classes right now, trying to limit the time that I spend dwelling on speed skating. I don't want to be sitting at home and be like, oh, I really missed that second left stride in today's Excel. Shoot. And then I'll think about that for a while. No, if I have schoolwork or something to do, I can just focus on that. So that's good.
Well, that's nice. Thank you so much, William, for being so honest and open with us. It was a great interview. Let me know where people can find you if they want to reach you in our internets.
On the internets, well, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. I also have a website. So Instagram, you can find me at Willie Dutton. Facebook, you can just search me, William Dutton. And then on my website, it's www.williamduttonskater.com. You can find all the information you need on me right there. Anyways, yeah, thanks for having me out. It's great. Really happy to share this stuff with people. If it helps somebody else, that's great. There's some information. I feel like we should always be passing on our information to other people.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that a lot of people get something out of this.
Yeah.
So thank you again, and I wish you good luck for the season.
All right, man. Thank you. You too. See you on the ice, buddy.
Thanks.
So one more thing before you go. Please share it with your friends and leave a review wherever you listen.